Beneath the Nine Realms, far from the songs of heroes and the feasts of Valhalla, lies a forgotten world cloaked in eternal frost. A realm where the sun dares not shine and the air itself seems to mourn. The winds whisper the names of the dead, and time moves not with rhythm, but with stillness. This is Helheim, a land not of torment but of silence, not of punishment but of abandonment. Here, the dishonored dead, the sick, the old, and the forgotten drift endlessly, watched over by a queen unlike any other. Hel, the goddess of death, half beautiful, half decayed. A child of chaos, a sister to monsters, and a ruler cast into exile by the very gods who feared what she might become. She is not a demon, she is not a savior. She is the embodiment of the inevitable end that awaits us all. This is the story of Hel and the realm no one dares to dream of. The story of death's cold domain. Hel was born of chaos, and feared from the moment she drew breath. Her father was Loki, the trickster god whose shifting form and shifting loyalties made even the bravest gods wary. Her mother was Underworld, a fearsome Jotun, a giantess who dwelled in the shadowy woods of Jotunheim. From this union of mischief and monstrosity came 3 children who would shape the fate of the world. The ravenous wolf Fenrir, destined to devour Odin at the end of days. The serpent Jormungandr, whose coils encircle Midgard, waiting to rise during Ragnarok. And Hel, neither beast nor god, but something far more unsettling. Hel was not a force of destruction. She was worse, she was finality. The moment the gods of Asgard laid eyes on her, they were struck with unease. Unlike her monstrous siblings, Hel was humanoid in form, but grotesque in contrast. One half of her body was that of a living woman, youthful yet pale, untouched by sunlight. The other half? A decaying corpse, darkened flesh, exposed bone, and the hollow stare of death itself. She was the living embodiment of the liminal, the space between breath and silence, warmth and cold. Fearful of what her presence in the world might bring, Odin and the other gods made a fateful decision. While Fenrir was bound in chains and Jormungandr was cast into the sea, Hel was banished to the deepest realm of the cosmos, Niflheim. There, amidst the icy fog and endless gloom, she was given dominion over the dead. Thus, Helheim was born, named after its queen. Unlike Valhalla, where warriors feasted in eternal glory, Helheim was a realm of stillness and shadow. Here, the souls of those who died from illness, age, heartbreak, or disgrace would drift, not tormented but forgotten. It was a place of quiet sorrow, where memory fades and the echoes of life grow cold. From her hall, Eljugnir, sprayed with snowstorms, Hel rules. Its walls are carved from frost and bone, and its throne is said to be made of ice so ancient it remembers the screams of the first dead. The furnishings reflect her grim reign. Her bed is called Kor, meaning sick bed. Her plate, hunger. Her knife, famine. The gates of Helheim are guarded by the fearsome hound Garmr, a beast said to rival even Fenrir in ferocity. His eyes blaze in the darkness, and his howl is said to be the last sound a soul hears before crossing into Hel's domain. And once you pass through that gate, there is no return. Hel does not torment, nor does she redeem. She merely keeps watch over the dead, the forgotten, the dishonored, the unloved. In her realm, time stands still, and all stories end. She is a queen not of cruelty, but of consequence. And her silence speaks louder than the war cries of any god. Among all the tales of Norse mythology, none strike the heart with such sorrow as the death of Baldur, the shining god. Baldur was the most beloved of the Aesir, a god of light, purity, and beauty. His presence alone was said to bring joy to gods and mortals alike. Yet beneath this radiance loomed a terrible shadow, for Baldur began to dream of his own death, and in Asgard, dreams were never taken lightly. Frightened, the gods sought to shield him. Frigg, his mother, traveled across the realms, extracting oaths from every living and lifeless thing. From stone and steel, fire and frost, even the diseases of Midgard. All swore never to harm Baldur, all save one. Mistletoe, a slender, seemingly harmless plant, was deemed too young, too insignificant to make such a vow. And that, as it always is with fate, was the opening Loki needed. In a cruel twist of mischief and prophecy, Loki crafted a dart from the mistletoe and guided the blind god Hother to throw it during a game of target sport among the gods. It pierced Baldur's heart, and the light of Asgard was extinguished. The entire world wept. Flowers wilted, the sky darkened, and even the stones are said to have groaned in grief. The gods were stricken by sorrow, Odin most of all, for he knew this death marked the first unraveling of the threads of fate. Baldur's soul descended into Helheim, and there he remained, entombed in a realm of ice and silence. But the gods would not accept this loss without a fight. Odin sent his son Hermother riding Sleipnir, the eight-legged steed, on a desperate journey to the land of the dead. For 9 nights, Hermother galloped through pitch-black valleys and over the bridge Gjallerbru, which spans the river Gjoll, into the heart of Hel's domain. He found Baldur seated, pale and noble, in the halls of Elunir. Hel received Hermother not with cruelty, but with a cold fairness. She offered a bargain, a test of the world's love for the fallen god. If every being in existence would weep for Baldur, she would release him. The gods sent messengers across all the realms, and from the deepest caverns to the highest peaks, every creature shed tears. Even stones were said to weep, all but one. A solitary Jotun, a giantess named Thuk, sat unmoved in a cave. She refused to cry. "Let Hel hold what she has," she said, and in that one cold refusal, Baldur's fate was sealed. Many believe that Thuk was none other than Loki in disguise, taking final vengeance on the gods by keeping their brightest hope locked in death's embrace. And so Baldur remained in Helheim, and the light of his spirit flickered no more in the world above. But this was more than just a personal loss. It was a cosmic shift, a sign that the balance between life and death had tipped. The death of Baldur foretold the coming of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. It was the first crack in the foundation of Asgard, the first omen that even gods must die. And in the cold, still halls of Helheim, death waited, patient and eternal. Hel had made her mark on fate, and nothing would ever be the same. Unlike the gods of thunder, war, or harvest, Hel was not a deity celebrated with songs or offerings in the open air. She had no great temples, no festivals rang in her name. She was not worshipped, she was feared. To speak her name was to acknowledge the shadow that waits at the end of all things. And so, in the ancient Norse world, Hel was spoken of only in hushed tones, her domain more a warning than a prayer. In Norse belief, death was never a singular fate, but a consequence of life's path. Those who died gloriously, shield in hand, sword bloodied, heart still ablaze with courage, were carried by the Valkyries to Valhalla, Odin's hall of eternal battle and feast. Or they were claimed by Freya and brought to Folkvangr, a gentler paradise for warriors. But for those who died in less dramatic ways, of illness, of old age, of misfortune or shame, their souls drifted downward, to Helheim. It was not a punishment, nor was it a mercy. It was inevitability. Helheim was a reflection of a life unmarked by valor, a place of stillness, not torment. Its coldness was not cruelty, but distance. There were no flames, no screaming tortures as in other mythologies. Instead, there was silence, fog, the slow forgetting of names. Still, Hel herself commanded a certain dark reverence. She was a ruler whose word was absolute within her realm. Even Odin, the All-Father, dared not challenge her directly. When he sought to bargain for Baldur's release, he sent Hermother as an emissary. Odin knew well, Hel does not bargain with equals, because in her realm, there are none. Viking death rituals reveal the ancient terror of her cold kingdom. Bodies were buried with tools, weapons, and coins for the journey, a silent hope that the dead would be armed against whatever they faced. Others were cremated on funeral pyres, their ashes scattered to the wind, perhaps, some scholars suggest, in hopes of avoiding Helheim altogether. Boats were set aflame and pushed to sea. Stones were raised to mark the dead, etched with runes to preserve memory before the soul faded into her mist-shrouded halls. In these acts, we see not only mourning but resistance, as if death could be negotiated or at least delayed. In remote parts of the Norse world, some whispered prayers to ease the journey, not to Hel, but past her. There are tales of people buried with bells, their chimes meant to distract the hound Garmr at the gates of Helheim, giving the soul a chance to slip by unnoticed. Yet for all their fear, the Norse did not hate Hel. She was not evil, she was necessary. Without her, death had no order, no end, no place. She was the keeper of balance, the one who held what could not be kept by the living. And in that role she was terrifying because she could not be swayed, she would not be stopped. And so the people honored her in silence and in fear. As the tides of time turned and the old ways gave way to the cross, the world of Norse gods began to fade beneath the shadow of Christianity. But not all the gods were forgotten. Hel, goddess of death, ruler of Helheim, left a mark that would outlast even the stories of her kin. As Christianity spread across the Norse world, missionaries found echoes of their own teachings in the pagan landscape. Helheim, cold, desolate, ruled by a queen of the dead, became conflated with the Christian concept of hell. Though vastly different in imagery and intent, the name endured. The English word hell can trace its etymological roots back to Hel's realm. But where Helheim was a realm of stillness and sorrow, Christian hell became a place of fire and eternal punishment. The two worlds blurred, and in doing so, Hel's legacy was reshaped, twisted into something darker, more infernal. Yet in that transformation, she was not lost, only reborn. In the centuries that followed, Hel evolved beyond myth. She became a symbol of death, of duality, of the line between beauty and decay. In literature, she is portrayed as the tragic sovereign of the underworld, half-maiden, half-corpse, a ruler who feels no joy yet demands respect. Her presence haunts poetry, gothic novels, and modern fantasy epics. She represents not evil, but inevitability, the slow, cold truth that all things end. In modern pop culture, Hel has found new life. From comic books to cinema, her story is retold through new lenses. Marvel's HELA, reimagined as a fierce and elegant goddess of death, channels the original myth's power, though with Hollywood flair and thunder. In video games, Helheim becomes a haunting level or forbidden world, a place filled with spirits, trials, and the ghosts of forgotten heroes. Games like God of War, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla explore her domain with eerie beauty, painting her realm as one of sorrow, mystery, and inner torment. In dark fantasy and horror, Hel is a muse. Her half-rotted visage inspires creatures torn between life and death. Her authority over the soul invites tales of necromancy, lost spirits, and judgment beyond the grave. She is no longer just a character, she is a concept, the still queen who waits for us all. Even in contemporary art and fashion, Hel appears, cloaked in black, adorned in frost, her face split between life and decay. She has become a gothic icon, a dark goddess of liminality and shadow. Yet through all this reinterpretation, the core remains. Hel is the guardian of the end, the keeper of what lies beyond breath, the sovereign of sorrow. She reminds us that not all deaths are glorious, and not all afterlives are kind. In a world that often denies death, Hel whispers its truth, and that whisper has echoed through the centuries, through language, through art, through fear, into the hearts of the living. Hel is not the devil. She is not a villain. She is the stillness that waits for us all. The final breath, the closing door, the quiet truth that no soul can outrun. In a mythology bursting with thunderous gods, fearless warriors, and world-ending beasts, Hel stands apart. She does not battle, she does not boast, she waits. Where others rage and conquer, Hel whispers. Where others seek glory, she offers only stillness. Not as punishment, but as the natural end. She does not rule with fire or vengeance, but with cold certainty. Her throne of frost rests in a realm untouched by song or sunlight. Her gaze is not cruel, but ancient, older than time and heavier than fate. In the ever-turning cycle of Norse myth, of life, war, death, and rebirth, Hel is the inevitable pause between chapters. the shadow between the stars, the hush that follows the storm. And even now, as her name echoes through forgotten runes and modern stories, she remains unchanged, unmoved, not forgotten, but unlooked for, not feared for malice, but respected for truth. Hel is the guardian of endings, the keeper of stillness, the sovereign of silence. And for those brave enough to peer into the dark, to wonder what lies beyond the firelight, her presence will always be there, cold, quiet, and waiting.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.